power is not in speaking. Real power is in seeing what nobody else sees. Most men walk through life blind to signals, blind to body language, blind to real desire. Not because those signals don't exist, but because they were never trained to perceive the invisible. And do you know who was trained to do exactly that? Machiavelli. Not the quote version of Machiavelli, not the watered-down motivational version. The real Machiavelli. The one who taught, look beyond appearances, study hidden motives, understand that what people deny with words, they confess with behavior. When you apply this lens to female desire, everything changes. You realize that a woman's body says what her mouth will never say, that there are spontaneous reactions, micro-gestures, involuntary signals that appear only when a woman desires a man and cannot stop herself from showing it. But most men will never notice, not because it's impossible to see, but because no one ever taught them how to look. This video is not a trick. It is not cheap seduction. This is high-level perception. Here you're going to learn how to detect 6 signals she does not control. 6 signals her nervous system leaks when she is near a man she truly desires. Subtle, consistent, silent, but powerful, and completely invisible to the average man. So, I'll warn you now. This video is not for everyone. It is for the man who is ready to stop reacting and start observing. For the man who understands that ignorance is no longer an option. If he wants real power in his relationships. Have you ever experienced this? You're with a woman, everything seems normal, but something in the air shifts. You can't explain it, but you feel it. That is the underground language of desire. A silent dialogue happening beneath words, and if you don't know how to read it, all that power disappears. True attraction is rarely expressed directly. It leaks, it seeps, it reveals itself in 1,000 small ways, but only to the man who knows how to look. Machiavelli wrote, "He who sees what is coming before it arrives will be respected. He who only recognizes it after it has happened will be humiliated." Today, that principle applies to you, because if you can see these signals before she ever confesses, your position changes completely. You will no longer wait for validation. You will no longer guess if she likes you. You will have certainty, and certainty is power. But there's a trap. These signals are not obvious. They are not what viral videos tell you. They are not intense staring. They are not silly giggles. They are not hair playing. They are deeper codes. Physiological shifts born inside the nervous system. Bodily reactions that cannot be faked. And once you learn how to read them, you can never unsee them, because you start noticing them everywhere. On dates, at work, in daily interactions. You begin to understand who is pretending and who is genuinely vibrating with you. You begin to know which conversation is real and which one is just social politeness. This video will give you that advantage. Not to manipulate, not to exploit, but so that, for the first time, you can see clearly. No more imagining, no more asking. Observe. We are going to explore 6 hidden signals, each one supported by neuroscience, but translated into real-world language. I will show you how a woman's body behaves when her desire activates without her ever saying a word. This is information that only 1% of men possess, not because it is secret, but because very few have the patience, awareness, and intelligence to understand it. Today, you become part of that 1%, if you are ready to stop being a spectator and become a reader of hidden language. If you are ready to perceive what others ignore, then pay attention, because desire is never announced. It leaks, it is never declared, it betrays itself, and from today on, you are going to see everything. Human desire never presents itself naked. It always disguises itself. It camouflages, it protects itself, and this is even more true in women, not because of malice, but because of programming. From a young age, many women are culturally and socially trained to hide desire, not express it, to protect their image, to control impulse, to guard their reputation. Because while men are often allowed to pursue what they want, women are taught to deny it, to mask it, to perform neutrality. But here is where something fascinating happens. The body does not cooperate with repression, and that is where the real game begins. When verbal language says one thing, but the nervous system tells a completely different story. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He did not trust what people said, he trusted what they revealed without meaning to. He knew that all power is based on reading intentions before they are declared. not reacting to words, but anticipating hidden impulses. And you can apply that to desire, because real attraction does not manifest as, I like you, I want you close. It manifests as micro-expressions, as unexpected proximity, as subtle fluctuations in breathing. It shows up in details the body reveals without asking permission. And this is not opinion, this is biology. The autonomic nervous system, the system that regulates breathing, pupil dilation, muscle tension, is not under conscious control. When a woman becomes emotionally activated, and especially when desire is present, that system triggers reactions she cannot control. It is like a betrayal by her own body, but it is not a mistake. It is design. It is the most honest form of communication, a language that cannot be faked. Neuroscience supports this. Researchers like Stephen Porges, through polyvagal theory, have shown that the body reacts to safety, attraction, and threat before the mind rationalizes anything. This changes everything, because it means you can detect desire before she consciously realizes it herself. You can read the primitive impulse, you can listen with your eyes to what others miss with their ears. But to do that, you must stop searching for obvious signals. You must stop interpreting what you see through your ego and start filtering with surgical precision. The average man asks, is she flirting with me? The trained man, the strategist, already knows, before she knows. This level of perception is not about control, it is about advantage. And advantage, as Machiavelli would say, is not requested, it is constructed. In a world where most people react, you will observe. In an environment where everyone falls in love with words, you will fall in love with the hidden pattern revealed only by the body. And you do not need charisma, you do not need beauty, you need something rarer. Attention, conscious attention. Attention without ego. Attention without urgency. Machiavelli said that the effective leader is the one who sees in the shadows what others ignore in the light. And that is exactly what you are about to learn to do. Because when you notice micro signals, when you notice she touches her neck without realizing it, that her breathing slightly accelerates, that she repeats your words without any apparent reason, that is where your power begins. That is where you no longer need to ask anything. You are reading a language older than speech, more honest than any declaration, more real than any sentence spoken with nerves or shame. And, most importantly, that language does not lie. You will learn to distinguish when a woman is reacting to you with authentic desire, and when she is simply performing a social role. And that, my brother, is real power. Because the true privilege is not conquering women. The true privilege is no longer wasting time on women who only simulate interest. From this moment on, your perception becomes your filter, and that filter will permanently change the way you interact. Now that you understand the philosophical and biological foundation, it's time to move to proof, to the 6 hidden signals a female body cannot hide. Signal 1. Her breathing changes when you are near. The human body has many ways to lie. Breathing is not one of them. When a woman secretly desires a man, her body enters an activated state. In neuroscience, this is known as a modulated parasympathetic response. In simple terms, her body begins preparing for potential intimacy. How do you know? Observe her breathing. Not when she is running, not when she climbed stairs, but when she is standing in front of you, talking, smiling, acting like nothing is happening. Yet while she performs calm, her chest rises more than normal. Her breathing becomes slightly shallow, slightly faster. Sometimes she quietly releases air. She is not faking it. She is not controlling it. Her nervous system is exposing her. Machiavelli said that the one who rules does not need to speak. He only observes how others react to his presence. In this case, you are the stimulus, and her body is literally adjusting to you. Now pay close attention. Many women become aware that their breathing has changed. When that happens, they try to hide it. They take slow, deep breaths, controlled breaths, as if trying to regain command. But even this attempt is a signal, because no one regulates something unless it is already out of control. If she is trying to slow her breathing, it means you activated her. You may also notice a micro-action right before she speaks. She inhales slightly deeper than necessary, as if preparing herself to say something insignificant. That tiny pause, that micro-reset, is desire disguised as self-control. And if you pay very close attention, there are more clues. She may clear her throat before speaking. She may briefly breathe through her mouth, as if something inside her is unsettled. She may sigh for no apparent reason, then smile like nothing happened. None of this is random. This is a nervous system reacting to your presence. Breathing is the only autonomous system you can observe without touching. You don't need proximity, you only need awareness. Most men only listen. You will start to see. And when you see her breathing change, you are witnessing a truth she herself cannot deny. Signal 2. Her eye contact contains contradictions. There is something in the eyes that cannot be rehearsed. When a woman desires you, her gaze becomes unstable. Not from insecurity, from tension. Tension between what she feels and what she is trying to hide. That is why this signal is a paradox. She looks at you, but she cannot hold the gaze. Her pupils subtly dilate. Her eyes soften. And suddenly, she looks down or looks away. That microsecond of visual break is not rejection. It is a physiological escape. Her nervous system is reducing intensity. Because sustained eye contact with someone you desire feels overwhelming. It feels exposing, so the body creates a brief exit. She disconnects visually to regain internal control. If she were neutral, she could maintain casual eye contact easily. If she were uninterested, she wouldn't look much at all. But desire creates oscillation. Look, break, look again, break again. This push-pull pattern is not strategic, it is involuntary. Another layer. Sometimes she will look at you, then immediately glance somewhere else, then return, as if checking whether she got caught. Because part of her wants to see you. Another part wants to hide that she wants to see you. That internal conflict leaks through her eyes. Also observe blink rate. When desire is present, blinking often becomes slower, more spaced, because attention is narrowed. Her focus is pulled toward you, which again, is not a choice. It is a biological narrowing of perception. So when you notice softened eyes, brief eye contact, micro lookaways, then re-engagement, you are not witnessing shyness, you are witnessing suppressed desire. And once you learn to read this, you stop guessing, you stop hoping, you stop imagining. You know. And when you know, you move differently, calmer, more grounded, more precise. Because you are no longer operating in the dark, you are operating in awareness. And awareness is the foundation of power. Machiavelli said that the mind can hide what it thinks, but never what it desires, and the eyes are the first crack in that mask. Science confirms this. Desire activates the limbic system. One of its direct effects is pupil dilation. It cannot be faked, it cannot be stopped. When something or someone attracts us, our pupils expand to absorb more stimulus. So what does she do when this happens? She lowers her gaze, she looks away, or even more subtly, she blinks more frequently, breaking eye contact she can no longer handle. Sometimes she even looks down and smiles, not out of shyness, but because her nervous system betrayed her and she doesn't want you to notice. You may also detect another pattern. She holds eye contact with you longer than she does with other people, but never fully. She gives it, then takes it away. She allows access, then withdraws. She lets you see inside, but not completely, and if you're paying attention, you'll notice something important. Her gaze is not casual. It carries weight. It carries emotion. It carries charge. Some men misread this as insecurity. Others misread it as disinterest. But the strategist understands. When a woman looks at you intensely, then quickly looks away, there is fire. Because when desire is real, the body projects it, even through the eyes. Remember this. Love can lie with words, but desire trembles in the gaze. Signal. 3. Distance is no longer accidental. Personal space is political. Every centimeter of distance between two people is a silent declaration of intention or protection. A woman who secretly desires you may not say it with words, but she says it with space, more accurately, with the gradual reduction of space. Anthropology confirms this. Humans maintain different distance zones: public space, social space, personal space, intimate space. So what does a woman who desires without declaring do? She doesn't cross boundaries aggressively. She shortens distance strategically. She no longer sits across from you. She sits next to you. She no longer steps back when you move closer. She stays. She no longer places barriers between you. Bag. Crossed arms. Objects. She leaves the field open. Sometimes she invents excuses. She comes closer to show you something on her phone. She approaches to ask a question she didn't really need to ask. She hands you something she could have placed on the table. And if you observe closely, there is a pattern. Whenever she can, she positions herself closer. Even her body speaks without words. She leans her torso toward you. Her feet point in your direction. She mirrors your posture. Now, the distracted man sees this as friendliness. The manipulator sees it as approval, but the strategist sees something else, an experiment. Because she isn't only approaching you, she is watching how you respond. If you tense up, she pulls back. If you allow it, she stays, and when she stays, she is telling you something without ever saying a word. If you accept it naturally, she does it again. Machiavelli said that the one who cannot read another person's movements becomes a victim of a game he does not understand. And in this case, the game is space, but the wager is desire. Desire is not thrown all at once, it is tested, measured, probed. That is why distance is no longer accidental, it becomes strategy, a way of saying, I want to get closer, without using a single word. The body does not lie. And if she seeks proximity with you, when she has no obligation to do so, if she places herself inside your personal space, without explanation, that is not politeness. That is code. Because hidden desire does not always speak in sentences. Sometimes, it is measured in centimeters. Signal 4. Her voice lowers. Not because she's shy, but because she wants to isolate you from the world. The voice is also part of the body. And when a woman feels desire, her voice changes, even if she doesn't notice it. It's not only about what she says, it's about how she says it when she's with you. The tone softens, the pitch drops slightly, the rhythm becomes slower, more intimate. And suddenly, you're no longer talking to just anyone. You're talking to a more real version of her, more open, more unguarded, more emotional. This phenomenon has a name. It's called acoustic attraction. When attraction is present, the vocal cords relax, and the tone naturally lowers. Why? Because the body enters connection mode. But that's not all. Not only does the pitch change, the intention changes. A woman who desires you does not speak to everyone. She speaks to you. Her voice becomes a private channel, inside a public conversation. Sometimes she even lowers her volume intentionally, not because she's timid, but because she wants you to lean in, to focus, to move closer. It is an instinctive strategy. Exclude the rest of the world. Create an exclusive bubble between you and her. And if you listen closely, you'll notice another pattern. She speaks to you differently than she speaks to others. With you, warm, personal, soft. With others, social, neutral, functional. That contrast is a crack in her social mask. It is her body saying, with you, I don't have to perform. There's more. Her rhythm shifts. She may speak slower, choose words more carefully, even allow small silences. Those silences are not empty. They are pauses to feel, and pauses designed so you can feel too. Because when desire is present, communication stops being efficient and starts becoming intimate. Machiavelli said that the best way to know someone is not by what they express publicly, but by what they allow to slip out, when they believe no one is watching. Her voice with you is not accidental. It is a message. And if she begins using a lower, more intimate, more vulnerable tone, she is drawing a space where only you exist, because desire does not always shout. Sometimes, it whispers into the ear of the one who knows how to listen. Signal 5. She remembers details and disguises it as casual. No one remembers what does not matter to them. The mind retains what the heart selects, and desire always leaves fingerprints on memory. When a woman desires you, her brain unconsciously prioritizes you. and it shows in what she remembers. Small details, things you said in passing, preferences you mentioned without emphasis, moments you already forgot. But she stored. But pay attention. She will not present this directly. She will not say, "I remember everything you tell me," because that would expose her. Instead, she slips it out casually. "Oh, wasn't it that you like jazz? I saw something that reminded me of that trip you mentioned. Don't you always wear that brand of cologne?" Innocent on the surface, loaded underneath. She is telling you, "I keep you in mind. Your world already lives inside mine," but without declaring it. Because if you don't respond well, she can pretend it was coincidence. This is called strategic memory, a way of showing interest without emotional exposure. Machiavelli understood this. Power is not only in what is said, but in what is revealed slowly. Interest disguises itself as everyday behavior, so it does not lose leverage. But here is an even deeper layer. Notice how she remembers, not like someone storing data, but like someone building bridges. She connects one thing you said to another moment. She uses a detail as an excuse to talk to you, and if she asks follow-up questions, if she remembers outcomes, if she checks back on things you mentioned days or weeks ago, she is emotionally invested. Women do not retain irrelevant information. They retain what creates chemistry, what activates emotion, what touched them internally. Silent desire does not always stare at you. Sometimes, it remembers you quietly. And when a woman remembers, but disguises it as coincidence, it is not forgetfulness, it is desire. Carefully camouflaged. Signal 6. She becomes vulnerable without you asking. Desire does not only show in the body. Sometimes, it reveals itself through the soul. A woman who secretly desires you, sooner or later lowers her guard, not from weakness, but because her mind and body have categorized you as emotionally significant. And when that happens, her armor begins to crack. She tells you things she does not tell easily. Insecurities, dreams, doubts, failures, things that carry emotional weight. Not as a dramatic confession, but as small disclosures, pieces, fragments. Because vulnerability is selective, and people only open themselves where they feel connection. She may say, "I don't usually tell people this, but," or "I've never really talked about this before." Those sentences are gateways. They mean, "You feel safe to me. You matter to me. You are inside my inner circle." Now notice something important. She does not do this with everyone. She laughs with many, she talks with many, but she opens with few. If she opens with you, you are not just another guy. You are someone her nervous system trusts. And trust mixed with attraction creates emotional bonding. Another pattern. After being vulnerable, she watches your reaction closely, not obviously, subtly. She is checking. Do you judge? Do you dismiss? Do you minimize? Or do you stay calm, present, grounded? If you remain steady, her nervous system relaxes further, and when her nervous system relaxes, she goes deeper next time. This is escalation, not physical, emotional. And emotional escalation always precedes physical escalation. Because before a woman gives you access to her body, she usually gives you access to her inner world. So when a woman begins to open layers of herself, without being prompted, without being pushed, without being questioned, she is not being nice. She is not just friendly, she is revealing attachment, and attachment, rooted in desire, never announces itself loudly, it reveals itself quietly, consistently, inevitably. And once you learn to see these 6 signals, you stop chasing clarity, you stop asking for signs, you stop living in uncertainty. Because you are no longer guessing, you are reading, and the man who can read never walks blind again. Things she would hide in another context, not because she needs help, not because she's seeking pity, but because with you, she can no longer fully maintain the mask. Machiavelli said that power reveals itself in the moments where the other person exposes themselves, without you demanding it. And that is exactly what is happening here. She begins to give you pieces of her inner world, fragments of truth, not to impress you, but to feel seen, to feel real. And if you pay attention, you'll notice the difference. It's not just what she shares, it's how she shares it. The pause before speaking, the slight hesitation, the way she looks at you after opening up, waiting for your reaction. Because that too is part of the signal. She is measuring you. She wants to know, are you emotionally safe? Are you stable? Can she trust what she feels with you? Here there is no nervous laughter, no shallow flirting, no performance. There is humanity, there is truth. And when desire reaches this stage, it stops being a game and becomes emotional surrender. She may tell you a story from her childhood, an old mistake that still embarrasses her, a deep longing she has never said out loud. Those are access points. She is letting you in, and if you respond with maturity, with calm validation, without judgment, her armor drops even further, and her desire becomes stronger. Not through her body, but through trust, because hidden desire does not always hint. Sometimes, it confesses without asking permission. It is not looking for a reaction. It is looking for connection. Now understand this. One signal alone can be confusing. An intense look could be politeness. Proximity could be circumstance. A soft voice could be habit. Remembering details could be good manners. Vulnerability could be emotional need. But when all 6 signals appear together, something changes. You are no longer dealing with coincidence. You are witnessing a pattern, a complete language, a silent system, expressing itself without permission, but with intention. When her breathing changes around you, when her gaze becomes unstable yet charged, when she moves closer for no obvious reason, when her voice drops only with you, when she remembers what you said without being reminded, when she begins opening her emotional world, that is not accident. That is desire in its raw state. There are no words, there are no declarations. Yet everything is already said. Her body betrays her. Her memory confirms you. Her vulnerability hands herself to you. Do you see it? She never says it, but she has already said everything. This is where the average man falls into the trap of doubt. He believes he needs explicit validation. He believes that without a direct confession, there is no desire. That is not strategy, that is emotional blindness. The strategist understands something different. Desire reveals itself long before it announces itself, and the man who learns to read it never needs to ask again. Machiavelli understood something that very few men understand today. Power is not in declarations. Power is in the silent reading of what the other person is trying to hide. You are not learning how to conquer, you are learning how to see, how to read a language almost no man speaks. And that is your advantage. You no longer need to guess, you no longer need to beg. Because when you learn to see the 6 signals together, something inside you shifts. There is no more anxiety, no more desperation. There is clarity, there is position, there is power. Because the man who sees no longer chases, and the man who does not chase becomes the center of the game. This is not manipulation, this is strategic perception. It is emotional intelligence combined with instinct and precision. She may keep saying she is not interested, but her gaze lingers 1 second longer. Her proximity repeats without reason. Her voice becomes private. Her memory mentions you. And her truth leaks out when she can no longer hold the disguise. When all of that is happening, you do not need a confession. What you need is the maturity to interpret it and to act from truth, not from fantasy. Hidden desire is not a myth. It is a reality few are prepared to see. But if you learn this language, if you understand this dance of signals, you will no longer get lost in the superficial. You will see the invisible code, and you will move with the precision of a man who does not depend on luck. Because in the end, hidden desire is not so hidden, for the man who knows how to observe. Now you know. Hidden desire is not invisible. It has always been speaking, in a language no one taught you, until now. Breathing that shifts, pupils that expand, proximity that repeats, a voice that turns intimate, memories disguised as coincidence, vulnerabilities offered without being asked. Each one alone can be ambiguous, but together, they form a symphony of desire, and no trained man ignores a symphony. So what do you do with this power? You use it with integrity, with strategy, not to control, but to choose. Because you are no longer in the dark, you no longer depend on assumptions, on games, on half signals. You are seeing what others cannot see, and in the emotional world, that is elite advantage. And the best part, this is not only about women, it is about you, becoming the type of man who no longer needs external approval to feel valuable, who does not doubt his intuition because he has trained his perception, who is no longer confused between what is said and what is actually being communicated. Most men remain blind. They react late. They misinterpret. They chase when they should withdraw. They withdraw when they are about to be desired. You will not. Because now you know what to look for, and more importantly, you know when they have already found you. So listen carefully if you want to keep developing this ability, if you want to see beyond words, beyond gestures, beyond masks, then subscribe. This channel is not built to entertain you, it is built to wake you up, because a man who sees clearly is a man no one can manipulate. He is the kind of man who commands respect, who leaves impact, who becomes presence, and that kind of man is the most desired of all. See you in the next one.